I messed up. I goofed. I dropped the ball. I initially gave The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess a 6 out of 10, and I'm deeply regretting this. I know it goes against the nature of this channel by being a raw and authentic reaction, but seeing as this is a drawn out and thoughtful reflection on a piece of art, I think this is also exactly what I'm trying to go for. I almost lost sleep over disrespecting Miss Chappell. First and foremost, this album does have replay value, contrary to what I said. It is not perfect, but it's the debut album of a rising pop star with potential to change the music industry. I re-listened to this album the other night, reading the lyrics with much more intent than I did during my first listen. I believe a key factor in great musical production is having layers to your music that listeners will have to work harder to discover, rather than just listening at a face value. On the surface, Chappell may seem like a basic bubblegum pop character that offers baseline substance and shouts out buzzwords and Gen Z slang. I do believe that some of her songs still carry that effect, which is why I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10. I'm not really super excited to give it a 10 out of 10. And I'm not. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. She rhymes place with place and park with park. I don't think that's not really an excuse for having great production and just having minimal effort in your lyrics. I think that's just her inexperience, in her production. I think that's just her inexperience. But you have to keep in mind that this album is mostly a bunch of singles thrown together as a debut album. Now we get into the hypotheticals of it, the theoretics. In my own twisted reality, I like to believe that this album is intended to be a roller coaster that lives in the subconscious of an angsty girl in her late teens or her early 20s, which I think she's my age pretty much. She's clearly influenced by prominent female figures. There's influence in her vocals and her style of music, like Hot to Go. She's influenced by Madonna. I get some Lana Del Rey, and even a little bit of Taylor Swift, honestly. She also, personality-wise, she's influenced by people like David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, Elton John. Definitely get a lot of that in her public persona. And I think that's crucial for understanding this album and perceiving it in a different light. You need to think of Chappell as a persona. It's a headspace where she can go to free herself from the pressures of being a younger woman, especially a younger woman in America, and especially a younger woman in America in the Midwest. So she embodies this in her stage presence and her design choices. You see her with, a bunch of makeup and these extravagant gowns and speaking with fervor. I think she also incorporates this into her voice, her pacing, and her energy, whether it's while she's performing or just speaking or doing press, PR. She introduces you with Femininomenon on this album, climbing up the tracks of this metaphorical roller coaster that I mentioned. I think this represents the unrealistic expectations that a younger girl might have about the world and how freeing it can be to explore yourself and come to terms with your sexual identity. And that's a hot button issue on this album, is sexual identity, and that's who she is. She's somebody who's going to be an icon. The song alone takes you for unexpected turns, where she does touch upon these themes of sexuality in slightly obvious messaging. I won't go into detail on that, but if you listen to the song, you'll get the idea. Still a good song. As each song goes on, she continues to develop this realization of freedom and letting yourself go and kind of just being yourself. And then it comes the decline on the roller coaster once you get past Red Wine Supernova. You get to Coffee and Casual. This is grounded in the painful truths of reality and love, similar to her upbringing in the Midwest, where she was constrained by the ideological beliefs of her family, neighbors, and classmates. I remember I saw a video about one of the reasons she wears white makeup is because she experienced gay people being called clowns while she was at school, and she thought, what better way to show these people that if I'm gonna be I think she said if I'm gonna be a clown, I'm gonna be the best clown you've ever seen. She wears the makeup to kind of appear that way. So anyway, bound by the shackles of societal norms, you can tell she's experienced loss, she's experienced heartbreak and ostracism in the real world, forcing her to go against the grain and become more rough around the edges. As much as I don't like Casual, I believe it serves as the critical climbing action in this subconscious roller coaster that I mentioned. The apex comes with Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl on Hot to Go, which just shoots you back into the stratosphere of this unrealistic expectations, idealization, just kind of free from all of the pressures of society. She's free to express her dissatisfaction with her peers and the trauma they've caused her throughout her life. Personally, I thought that Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl would be a bigger hit than Pink Pony Club, although they both serve as great symbols for finding a place that's comfortable for you and being able to have peace with yourself. I really like that about Pink Pony Club. It is a little popular, but I'm glad that at least one of those songs got popular. Going back to the Taylor Swift reference, I think that My Kink is Karma is very Taylor Swift inspired. Typical song about an ex, yada, yada, yada. Just whining about the ex and how she's glad to see that he's struggling in life. It's not my favorite song, but again, it serves a purpose towards the overall structure of the album. Picture You and Kaleidoscope are, again, like I said in the first video, they're still touching ballads. That hasn't changed. They are just really deep. They ground you in reality. This is what love is, and it's confusing. Love is confusing. We all go through these emotions, and it hurts. It really does. I understand it. I resonate with the lyrics, and I feel for her, genuinely. You can hear the pain in her voice. I think the final tracks on the album aren't as congruent with the rest of the messaging of the album. Again, seeing as this is just kind of a bunch of singles thrown together. I think California is important. It's still a really important piece of her character development. It's about homesickness. I empathize with this song because it harps on themes of regret and longing for normalcy. You know, no matter how difficult like a situation may be, you still long for what you know, and you have to deal with both the positive and negative changes. And I think that goes to say for everything when you're dealing with trauma or something in your life, whether it's a person or a place or an experience or a time in your life. It's easier said than done to get over these things that may cause you trauma and pain. Which is why I think this California is great, because California made her. She is popular now. She's successful because of what the industry has done, music industry has done for her. But she still longs to go back to what she's comfortable with, being Midwest. So overall, this is an 8.5 out of 10 now. Making mistakes is part of life. That's what makes this hobby very fun for me. You know, I'm able to react to the thoughts that I've previously had on an album or even a genre of music and see it in a different light and break those preconceived notions. I'd be lying to you if I said that this wasn't what I was trying to achieve with this. This is like my own form of journalism, and it really keeps me passionate about trying new things. We're going on, I think, 10 minutes here. So, bottom line, give Chaperone a listen. Give some new music a try. Recognize your mistakes, and keep your stick on the ice.